Dear friends, namaste. Many of you know me. I'm a French journalist and writer. I live in India. I'm in love with your country. I know your country has many faults, but on the whole, I think that India is the last country in the world which holds a timeless, universal spirituality and has in itself, the truth of who I am, why do I die, why do I live, what happens when I die, with God, how he or she manifests himself or herself at different times using different scriptures. So I am privileged to live in India. Now, today, this is my second video about the riots that happened in France. I'm a Frenchman, born in France, educated in France, and as many of you, I was shocked by the violence that has happened in France, the way that the young Muslims there rioted, burnt public transport, attacked houses, attacked people, looted. It shocked me. Now, I read the BBC, like many of you, I listen to the BBC, and I'm even more shocked to see how the BBC excuses these people, always putting the fault either on the police or racism or the fact that these young French Muslims live in the suburbs of Paris are underprivileged. But I'm telling you two things. The first thing is that the French state subsidizes all these Muslims. In France, the more you have children, the more the state gives you money, because there are not enough children in France. The white French people have less and less children. So the more you have children, the more you are paid. Medical care is free also. If you're a French person working in France, even if you're on the dole, if you're not working unemployed, you still get free medical. If you're on the dole unemployed, the state gives you money. So all these people, it has been calculated that average money that the French government gives to these people is 6,000 euros in the suburbs of Paris. So every Muslim in the suburbs of Paris gets 6,000 euros per month. It's a lot. It's about, I don't know, it's about 50,000 rupees, 60,000 rupees. So it's a lot of money. Now, the second thing is that I have covered Kashmir. When I covered Kashmir for the French newspaper Le Figaro, I was very innocent and very ignorant. I thought, Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, a Parsi, a Sikh, they're all the same. They all have the same love, the same tolerance of others. But in Kashmir, I saw that because the Hindus were from a different religion, the Muslims of the Valley of Kashmir made them flee. First killed them, assassinated them, violated their women, killed their children. There were terrible massacres in Kashmir in the 90s and early 2000 when I covered Kashmir. And ultimately, the entire Hindu population of the Valley of Kashmir had to flee just because of the fact that they belonged to another religion. Now, what the BBC or the other media that keeps defending Islam don't say that in the Quran itself, there are many verses that encourage the killing and the looting of infidels. It says there is no God but Allah and Muhammad to his prophet. Jews and Christians are specially included among such infidels. They shall be slain or crucified or have their hands and feet cut off. Slay the infidels whenever you find them. So these verses were written in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th century when it was normal. I mean, war was a common thing. Women were raped. People were beheaded. These were normal in this time. This was before the Middle Age, and life was a struggle, and it was understood that you caught your enemy and you beheaded him or killed him and raped his woman. It was understood and accepted in those times. Unfortunately, the Quran came to us today in its original form. So yes, there's a purity in the Quran because it was never touched. Nobody ever dared to reform the Quran. But the fact is that these precepts, these verses which encourage the killing of infidels are still read today and still practiced today. So what has happened in France is not the riots of underprivileged Muslims against the privileged and the racist police and white French people. It is a war of Islam against the infidels. Even moderate Muslims. When I covered Kashmir, I was given by some army friends names and contacts of moderate Muslims in Kashmir, retired high judges, retired university professors, and they were very nice people. I met them. But they talked to me because I was a white man, I was a journalist. And in the end, they all said the same thing. We don't belong to India. We don't belong to Hinduism. We resent, at that time, they were showing the Ramayana on television. It was very popular. We resent the Ramayana being shown on television. We are Muslims. We don't belong to India. We belong more to Pakistan. These were moderate, intelligent, educated Muslims. So the problem is not only with the fanatics with burn and loot. The problem is with the Quran that even moderate Muslims take to the letter, and they excuse whatever happens, whatever killing and assassination and ramming of planes on world towers in US. They excuse it in the name of Palestine. Now there are some the Jewish people, the Israeli people have to defend themselves. They're surrounded by Arab states. So from time to time they have to retaliate. And there been some attacks on Palestine in the last few days. And of course the BBC and many media defend them, but they never mention these verses which encourage the killing of infidels. So what is happening in France, what is happening in Kashmir, what happened in Kashmir, what's happening in other parts of the world is not writing by underprivileged people. It is a war of Islam against the civilized world. I repeat it again because it's not politically correct, but one day it will be accepted that it is the truth. This is a war of Islam against the Western democratic world and India. Namaste.